annual Sustainable Tourism Conference being held for the first time in the Turks and Caicos is proof that nations around the world and scientists everywhere are working diligently to save the environment. Famous for his work as an environmental activist, David Suzuki was the speaker for the opening of the 10th annual conference on Monday night. DeAndre Hamilton brings us the details.
He is delighted to be here, and David Suzuki was an appropriate kickstart to the Sustainable Tourism Conference now underway at Beaches Turks and Caicos. The theme for the week is keeping the right balance, sustaining the Caribbean coastal product, and CTO organizers have been beaming ever since they announced that the Canadian scientist would participate. Suzuki is world-renowned for his hard-hitting perspectives expressed in a variety of forums, including his acclaimed television show, The Nature of Things.
At the IGA yesterday, Tara and I said, let's only buy food that was grown right here in Turks and Caicos. We would have starved. Where do you think your food is coming from? And do you think the cost of food is not going to skyrocket in the coming years as oil approaches $200 a barrel? The implications of that are absolutely dramatic.
This author of 43 books was not here to castigate the Caribbean region for its environmental challenges. Instead, Suzuki pointed out that the entire world is struggling with the effects of climate change.
We as a country are far from living sustainably in Canada. If all of the people in the world lived the way we do in my country, we would need 4 more planets.
Dr. Suzuki, who has some 22 honorary degrees, noted that it is commendable that the Caribbean has been holding this conference for a decade and that the region is speaking in one voice when it comes to global warming. He explained the dynamics of why adapting is hard.
For Canada, the problem is that creating sustainable energy, food, water, and so on will take a shift in political and economic priorities. In fact, for Canada to achieve this is going to cost billions of dollars and take decades to implement. And those offer real problems for the corporate and the government sectors. Politicians have to get re-elected, and usually the re-election cycle is 3 to 5 years. It's a pretty short period. Corporations focus on the bottom line, which is usually the quarterly report. And the problem is children, like Kayla, don't vote. And so in political terms, they don't matter. Because politicians must, and it's not because they're evil or stupid, it's the nature of the game. Politicians must appeal to people who are going to vote. And so the issues of long-term sustainability for our children seldom really relate to the agendas of the corporate sector.
Suzuki added that warnings were ignored for decades. He read verbatim a document signed.
The 10th annual Sustainable Tourism Conference being held for the first time in the Turks and Caicos is proof that nations around the world and scientists everywhere are working diligently to save the environment. Famous for his work as an environmental activist, David Suzuki was the speaker for the opening of the 10th annual conference on Monday night. DeAndre Hamilton brings us the details.
By whom he called the leading scientists of the world.
No more than 1 or a few decades remain before the chance to avert the threats we now confront will be lost and the prospects for humanity immeasurably diminished. A great change in our stewardship of the earth and life on it is required if vast human misery is to be avoided and our global home on this planet is not to be irretrievably mutilated.
The opening of STC 10 continued outdoors with a soiree in the French village of Beaches poolside.